Well, as government embarks on the ambitious Beyond the Return initiative to woo diaspora investment this year, a Ghanaian in the diaspora, Francis Flair, who is a customer service specialist based in the U.S., says the success of this program rests on strict and impressive customer service in the country. I sat with him for a discussion on customer service through the eyes of the diaspora.
It's only in Ghana the business thing they're doing the customer a favor. But if you are there for the customer, you care about them, they will even care about you more, right? I know customers who just come in to do business because they knew the business was struggling. They want the business to be around when this was over. So yes, they may not have laid off employees as much as they did, but customers are going to do whatever it takes to keep the brands they love. And that's why you have to be looking for loyalty, not satisfaction.
Great. So I want us to end this discussion on a broad perspective. Once again, Beyond the Return happens this year, and it's into somewhere next year.
Yes.
And with that comes the pressure on government to, as you rightly stated, maintain the standards that saw the year of return successful. From your perspective as a customer service professional, so what instruments should government use to ensure that we're not just bringing in diaspora investment, but we're also keeping them in the medium to long term? I wanted to speak to the national, pressures of customer service.
Yes, I think we need to start focusing on the customer. We need to remember who the boss is at the end of the day. It's not the businesses, it's not the government, it's the people who come in to spend money with us, right? The people who keep the business going. And so in order to move forward and to make sure that we have the people coming back, recommending and referring us to their friends and family to keep this economy going, we need to make sure that we are focusing on them and doing whatever it takes to make them happy.
How can we make them happy?
Well, you listen to them and you make sure that you systematize those standards, right? It cannot be one of those things like flavor of the month, right? We just did it for this time alone. But what is going to happen is the message gets out, they come back, it's not the same, and then they go back and say a different thing, and then we lose it all at the end of the day. So it's important that we are systematizing those standards, but that is going to take some time. Are we ready for that? I don't know. Do we know how to do that? I don't know. Are we willing to invest in it? I don't know. I mean, that's a question for every business to answer. If this is important to you, if it's about your primary aim of acquiring and retaining customers, then I think that should be very, very important to you as a business, that you are able to see that without your customers, I mean, the business ceases to exist. And so it's an investment, it's a process, it takes time. Customer service, customer experience is not a department. In fact, it transcends throughout the organization, because you want to make sure that, again, if you systematize the standards, regardless of who is taking care of the customer, they are going to have the same experience. And that eventually brings about loyalty, because before you get to loyalty, the customer have to feel trust, right? They have to have that confidence that, you know what, I am okay, I'm confident going to this particular business, because regardless of what happens, they are going to take care of me. I trust them. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that we have those systems in place to offer a consistently great experience every single time. No excuses.
It was very successful to the extent that amid COVID-19 this year, we are reviving this through government's initiative. They call it Beyond the Return. Now, speaking from your perspective as a customer service, expert once again, how can customer service become a catalyst to making the Beyond the Return initiative successful for diasporans?
Yes, and that's a great question, and that requires putting systems in place. I mean, we have standards, right? And I think oftentimes businesses think customer service just comes naturally to employees. They don't take the responsibility to actually train them, right? We just hire bodies into position and expect it to work. Now, in terms of long-term and longevity when it comes to the experience, we need to make sure that those standards are being systematized. So it doesn't matter who comes in, it doesn't matter who is serving the customer today or tomorrow. We want to make sure that we are confident that if Charles is the one who took care of you today, when you come in tomorrow, Francis is not going to be a jerk to you, right? We've systematized our systems, right, to make sure that everything is going according to plan. And so that would be the approach going forward, actually finding those standards, what made us so successful during the launch of the return, and then systematizing it so that every time anyone comes in, anyone visits, they are getting the same exact experience. Because I'm sure as successful it was, they're going back and telling their friends and family about it. It would be a shame for them to come back and not experience that. Right? It will be like we basically duped them, right? Why is it different from when it was actually the return, and then beyond the return it's not? So that requires some work, that requires some investment that businesses and organizations who are involved in this can actually use that asset as an opportunity to propel themselves to actually become the brands that customers cannot live without, and eventually make price irrelevant.
And that's Francis Flair there on his thoughts on Beyond the Return and the power of customer service in making it a success.